again, down under the can levy, that's the amount obviously that can be levied if you were to levy the total. And then the amount that the city can consider, I mean, you can consider levying any amount you want, based on fiscal year 25's budget, which you have on your next page of your packet. Some of the figures are going obviously up. Work comp and the property and liability insurance went up about 15-17%. Short-term disability is staying the same right now. Health insurance is staying the same, and then obviously FICA and IPERS is based on wages, so.
This 4.5%, is that a mandated raise or is that suggested by the?
It was recommended, that's what the Iowa League of Cities recommended for, based on like COLA and cost, and other factors that they factor in.
Historically, we've followed the League of Cities increases.
Well, each year they do that, they give us that estimate. I mean, if we put in the budget for that amount, that doesn't mean
Doesn't mean we're spending it.
right. I mean, it could be whatever the council deems at the time that we look at that through the year, so.
So the next page then, again, was the fiscal year 25 certification, which shows the amounts that were levied for liability, property, and self-insurance. Basically levied a little over $10,000 of the $19,000 that was, or I'm sorry, 14,000 some odd dollars that was expensed or could have been. Supportive local emergency management, that comes from, it's a set levy from Johnson County. Ag land, yeah, that's nothing to do with what we're levying at otherwise. FICA and IPERS, the 38,418, that's exactly what the FICA and IPERS was last year. And then work comp and short-term disability is what it was last year. The other levies that are considered are debt service, which is almost down to the bottom of the page. And you'll see an increase in those as well for this fiscal year.
Property taxes are dropping.
Property taxes, what? No, they're actually going up.
Are they really?
Yeah, well, again, this is up for discussion, right? So the page that you're looking at that's kind of got an orange highlight at the top, fiscal year 25, orange highlight at the bottom for the 13.42947. That's what's currently the property tax rate. Yep, so 26, your next page, did I, yeah, highlight yours. Yep, those are in the green, those are the numbers based on this spreadsheet for the liability, the FICA IPERS, the other benefits, and the debt service. So yes,
Basically 0.5%.
it's going up, yeah, about 0.6%. A little less.
I have to work another hour overtime, but.
What overtime?
If you look at the next page, which is the proposed notice, this is the maximum amount that the city, once this thing is published, posted, sent out to the public, that's the maximum amount you can levy. You can always go down from there.
Yes, sir.
Yep, the next page, which at the top, yep, that the top says, notice of public hearing proposed, City of Swisher proposed property tax levy. Yep, so if you look at that page, at the bottom, it says residential property with actual / assessed value. Kind of 3/4 of the way down in that chart. So if you look at that, any property, residential property that's assessed between 100 and 110,000. The current tax that they're paying is $622. The proposed, based on the levy of 14.07, would be $734. So what are we talking, $110 a year? And then commercial property, again, these are just examples that the state gives so people can try to understand what they're gonna be paying. A commercial property that's assessed at $300, $330 is, this fiscal year paid $2,700, will go to $3,200, so about $500 a year. Correct. I'm sorry, if you flip back to your fiscal year 26 certification page, the one with the green highlights on it, at the top of that page, about, I don't know, a quarter of the way down, it shows what the consolidated general fund levies are currently at, and the maximum amount dollars you can get. If you look at the revenue growth, that actually went down from fiscal year 25. So fiscal year 25's was 2.14% growth, and now we're at 1.46. I don't know.
So why did that?
I don't know. Our assessed values went up, as you can see. Looking at 25, regular levy, or regular property values went from 42,524,000 to 43,144. It's just from fiscal year 25 to 26, they're only going up 1.46%. Fiscal year 24 to 25, they went up 2.14%. The assessed values haven't increased as much as they did last year. If that's a good enough answer for you.
Well, that was some big talk last year too, I assessed values were going for properties.
Yeah.
Well, assessed values are going to be going down right now anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, that's,
And just, I hope that the council's aware, any residential property, you know, when you're looking at your tax assessment, I don't know, I'm just gonna throw numbers out there, of $250,000, right? You don't pay tax on $250,000. That assessed value is rolled back to about, I don't know, 44%. That's actually what you're paying tax on. It's called a residential rollback, which commercial is also rolled back at the same percentage now. So that could be why some of that commercial property, which we don't have a whole lot, but some of it may not be, you know, it's rolling back. And I think this is the last year for the rollback to get it in line with residential. So I don't,
So what do we need to do regarding this?
just tell me if you want any of the numbers on that certification page to change.
I think the 4.5 is too high. My personal opinion.
This is not that we're doing it, this is
This is budgeting.
a
That's what I'm
budget.
budgeting for.
There's nothing,
We'll talk
But
about it.
That's-
yeah,
that's
every
not-
time we budget for something, we always feel like we've got the money in the budget already. That's what always comes up, well, it's in the budget already, it's in the budget
No,
already.
not as far as I'm concerned.
No, that's like I said, when the time comes to where we dole out whatever is in the budget for certain things, it's taken into account as far as how much we should be paying for something, the services or what have you.
You're talking wages, correct?
Yeah.
There are things.
That doesn't have to be applied across the board either.
Right, that's true.
Yeah, there are options. I've done it both ways. You know, some cities are just, yep, everybody's getting the same, and then I've had
Council's
cities that want to do evaluations and base it on performance and merit and
Well,
what goals you're
Usually
achieving.
on
any other corporation or anything that budgets for the year puts in X amount for compensation.
I'd like to hear all conversations, so I'm kept in the loop.
I said budget for it at 4.5, even if we don't take it across the board. It's better to have.
So when do you have that conversation, Cody? Like, when does the council decide you
Usually
wanna?
it's mid-year, isn't it? That we
I
look
was
at?
here last year and there was no conversation had.
I was
You were just
thinking we
hired.
had-
I remember
They already
last year,
decided
I
on your
thought we
wage.
talked.
Well, no, and I'm just not saying for me.
Yeah,
I present the resolution for all employee wages.
I know, I thought,
I
we
thought-
reviewed it at some point last year.
I know we did.
I remember, I thought it was annually too that we reviewed
We-
wages and wage increases. Was it during budget time we did it?
And
No, I don't think so.
I
Unless-
don't think
unless it
so
was-
either.
I
Unless
don't
it was
remember doing it
close-
last year, I was here.
Unless it was close to.
That doesn't mean it
budget
didn't
time.
happen.
Because I can tell you, well, obviously I started January 2nd.
Right.
Tanya pretty much had the budget done.
Mhm.
There was just a few meetings that we were required to have for setting the public hearing on the proposed, holding a public hearing, you know, and then it was just come June and the resolution was presented with what was budgeted and that's what
What you
passed.
could do is look at, this past year, I think it was around mid-year. But it was after a meeting, basically, we had that the last thing on the agenda
It
was.
might have been 2 years ago, Mike.
No, it was not. I was here, Mike. I
Yeah,
would have
she would've
remembered
been
this
I'm
stuff.
pretty sure it wasn't last year, Mike, because I don't remember any
He doesn't
discussion
remember.
about
No.
I think it
anything.
was- it had to
Adam
be
was
2
on it
years
last
ago.
year.
Then it had
Do you
to
remember
be-
any of it?
Then maybe it was in January, but I don't recall.
I was
No,
here in
but they would have been
January.
on still.
Yeah.
It had to be 2 years ago we did it then.
So you think of
The only,
last
the only
year?
discussions that I remember having of
Was
last year
when
was when Shelley was hired. That was the
Yeah.
only discussions I remember us having about wages was Shelley.
Okay.
I don't remember any other.
So,
maybe you're
let's say
right.
council wants to have a discussion regarding wages. When is the best time to do that? Is it best? to-
Now,
Yeah, that's what I'd say, during budget season, correct?
yeah, I mean, and are you just talking about like what process you wanna use?
Or I think there
Or
should
what are
be,
you talking about?
there definitely should be, I mean, everybody that
But
goes,
this-
everybody in the real world that goes out and gets a raise is usually done on a review.
But what this
Again,
is for,
Well,
Again,
yeah,
not
it's your-
necessarily.
your school.
I've
Okay,
worked
but-
for cities that have done it both ways, Kurt. Straight
Well, but-
across the board, everybody's getting the same, or based on performance, evaluations, and again, merit goals that have been set for the prior year. So you just gotta give me Tell me-
but this actually starts in June
no,
or July.
July 1st,
July.
yeah. Mhm.
So we're still on
Yeah, but it
this
doesn't make.
year's. So if
I
we
get that.
haven't done a review by now, then maybe that's something we.
I know, that's why I'm saying, I think it occurs during budget season. It doesn't make sense to do it mid-year,
Right.
and then when you don't have it budget,
I
yeah.
mean, typically, I'll just tell you my experience, it was usually done end of May, June.
I'm trying to
Do the
remember.
evaluations, and then that, yeah.
So we budget
And there
for
were
the,
employees that weren't happy, obviously, because it was based on a sliding scale and merit and
Yeah.
how did your performance come out? That was usually the end of May, first part of June, because wages
so you
typically.
budget for the max and then you make the
Yep.
adjustments?
Yep.
And who makes these?
Well, it would,
That's what I don't
it would
know
be,
in a sector like this.
again, a personnel committee doing evaluations, which includes the mayor and 2 council members. As city administrator, it was me and department heads. And then making a recommendation to the personnel committee, reviewing those evaluations, and then that personnel committee makes a recommendation to the council.
I just find it hard for us 5 to review when I don't see what Mallory does every day, but I see her post and everything, and I like what's happening, but maybe when you call her and she doesn't show up or something, you know, like,
Sure.
you know what I mean? Like, I don't see that stuff, or
Right,
what are your negative things that we don't, you know,
Sure.
so it's,
Absolutely.
I don't know how we make that, and the mayor isn't like in here every day to work, so I don't know how we make it.
And the one thing that keeps getting asked from a few citizens of this town to me is, who gives the Public Works Commission or worker I mean, how do you know what they're doing? How does
Are you
any-
asking me that?
I'm asking anybody in this room,
Okay.
anybody in this room, it's supposed to be they report to the mayor.
Right.
Correct, I got that,
Exactly.
I got that. But at any job in the free world, you have to know what your guy that works for you is doing on a daily basis or weekly basis or what. And I get this asked a lot around Swisher, a lot, that they do not see these people out. I'm telling you this right now,
I get asked to,
I get asked a lot, I'm not talking just a couple people,
I know,
I'm talking,
I get asked to.
they never see them. And I'm not knocking it, I don't know what they do, they don't report to me.
Right.
But there needs to be, like Shelley, everybody knows what Shelley's doing because it's
She's
visible.
Well, you see the packet every
Well,
month.
I'm just saying it's visible. I mean, Mallory, we know what she's doing. I mean, I'm just telling you, I mean, we're supposed to sit on this commission for the citizens of Swisher. If the citizens of Swisher wanna know what's going on, where our money's getting spent, and everything else, we should have an answer for them. I couldn't tell them. Nope, I don't think anybody in this room could tell anybody what they're doing.
Probably not on a lot of stuff, but you're right. They report to the mayor. The mayor is the administrator here.
I get that. What's that mean to you though?
Yeah.
He should be involved with the daily operations of what goes on in this town. So that means like our maintenance people, they report directly to him.
So they're supposed to call him every morning or at
Well,
5
he
o'clock every day?
he should have information on a daily basis, weekly basis on what they are doing.
How often
Yes.
do you think that's been
I don't know
withheld?
how
How often do you
it's
think that's been upheld, I should say?
To be honest.
Because I would
probably
have a
not
hard
like-
time believing that
probably
the
not
last
like
two
it
mayors
should.
have known what the city workers were doing at all times. I would have a hard time believing that.
Well,
Well, my guess is, and correct me if I'm wrong, Shelley, they're in here a lot, right? Talking to you or not? Because I know they
I
were,
mean, not daily, no.
so they weren't.
Mm-mm.
When I worked in the office,
No.
they don't stop in at all.
So that's where I
Okay.
think,
But don't put it on me.
no, no.
I don't know,
it
I'm
shouldn't
not
be
putting it on you,
It don't
I'm
need
just
to.
asking you
Yeah.
Yeah,
if they've
But
been in here.
maybe that's one thing is that we should look at, that there should be even a
More-
weekly report.
More accountability for what they're
Not-
doing on a weekly basis.
Yeah.
Yeah, and before me and Daryl were on this council, and Adam started a couple months ahead of us, but before that, every meeting that me and Daryl went to for that year and a half, he was here at that meeting. I mean, 90% of the time, unless something had came up at home or whatever. And now all of a sudden,
You're not here at all.
they're here like once every 4
There's
meetings,
never a report.
there's never a report, and that's,
How do they check in, punch their clock? Like it says 40 hours a week. Is there a punch clock?
No,
Is that something that we could look at implementing?
so how do you know that there's overtime then if they don't have a punch clock? They write down, they
You
work
write,
They write
extra hours?
they have a thing where they write in their hours.
I mean, that's the same system I
It's
use.
the same thing Shelley did.
Yeah,
But you know if I'm here or not.
Visible. I mean, you're here,
You know,
in the city
you'll-
hall.
yeah,
I mean, if you're
That's
not
what-
here, there's no
That's what
one
I'm
going
saying,
to the
can we
city.
move to a punch clock system?
absolutely.
I don't know why we.
For fairly cheap,
We
too.
couldn't.
That's
Yeah.
what-
Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah.
they couldn't even have the time clock
Fingerprint.
there, they wouldn't even have to
No,
start
you do
here.
it by the fingerprint.
Well, and not even, you can go as far as, not even just reporting that they started at 7 and left at 3:30. There's time clocks all over the world that you punch into what you're doing that day, you know, or there's a code that, mowing from 7 to 12:30, you know, stuff like that. It's a big topic in Swisher right now. I'm telling you that right now. Everybody.
And I understand that, and I know that's why your hesitation across the 4.5.
Right, and I agree with you. I agree with saying that that's what we're gonna set the budget as. I agree with that. But I don't agree that just because we set it at 4.5, that everybody on this list is gonna get a 4.5%.
And
We're not-
nowhere has anybody stated that.
No, I'm
We're
not
not
saying that. I'm just
saying
saying,
that.
I'm not for, if we
Right.
are saying that, I'm not for it.
We're not
No.
saying
No.
that.
But, okay, so let's say, because we still have 5 months, 6 months until we hit next year's budget,
Right.
we could essentially start a 6-month review with the time clock, like, how do we go about getting that implemented? Would that be on next council's
Agenda.
agenda?
yeah.
Yeah.
We would need to get it into the HR policy manual.
Yeah.
You know,
You're gonna have to get quotes for systems and
Yeah.
figure a system
I mean, a
out.
system is
Yeah.
very, I mean, a couple $100 for the basic punch clock, right? Which
They have,
I'm used
Do they
to.
have a computer up
they
there?
have stuff on your phone.
Yeah, I would say a
Well-
phone one.
Do they have a computer
Well,
up
I know
That could be
can-
manipulated pretty
Well,
easily too.
and I-
Yeah, but I work from home 90% of the time, so I sometimes I can't come up here and punch in and then go home, come back, punch out.
Yours is,
We're not talking
Yeah.
about clerical.
But, okay,
I would say
We're not
that-
talking about clerical in this building,
We're
Yeah.
talking about maintenance.
It's basically maintenance where a building has no windows or anything else. And
mhm.
like, you, I don't see.
Just if we change our
'cause you're
HR
what,
policy,
10
like,
hours a week. So like, I don't
and it's
see,
less than that,
Yeah.
unless I fill in for Shelley one
Yeah.
And
day.
all HR policies don't have to be across the board when you write it in, cause
No,
you
absolutely
can,
No.
but
you can
like,
exclude
to
administrative.
maintain
Absolutely.
fairness, I'd say, all right, let's put Shelley on this punch clock too, I mean, you get here, you.
Wouldn't care.
Yeah, so like that,
Wouldn't care.
because those are our full-time, and, I mean, we have
Well, you
like,
got library too.
yeah, and library.
I wouldn't, that's not, but they're almost pretty much fully funded by themselves, aren't they?
No,
Fully
No,
funded?
no,
Hell no.
Mm-mm.
That's
No,
property
they're
tax
funded.
revenue.
Property tax revenue.
yeah, I mean, I would put that on there as well,
Okay,
Yeah.
on the
I
system.
don't care.
I think that it would, yeah,
I agree.
just to make sure we're hitting the correct hours that we're.
Well, but then all we're saying is 4 full-time employees.
I think we probably need to get with them, get a weekly or monthly itinerary, what the goals are for the month.
Oh,
I
we need,
I
I
think
think
It needs to be weekly.
I think a weekly report.
I do too. I mean, this is a hot button issue, right? I mean, everybody can
And I-
play like it's not, but there's a lot of people that want to know what is going on with it.
Well, I kinda wanna see them back in council when we have council meetings too, to do the
That was
reports.
a requirement at.
It is a
interviews.
requirement, and you're
Yes.
right, lately, we haven't seen him here, he hasn't given us reports.
I will say, I went to story time on Tuesday and Laura said that I wasn't like fully immersed in the conversation, but she said that somebody told them they didn't have to come to council meetings unless they were giving a report. And so she was happy about that because she didn't want to come to them every 2 weeks. And so her and Justin have talked about how that was nice, they didn't have to come. But I don't know who told them that, but you could probably ask Laura and find out.
Laura's a different thing because our.
There's a
meeting-
board that
Yeah.
oversees the library.
That,
But
like,
that
our,
he
but
just
she
may
did
not-
business, like,
He just may not know he needs to come to them because if she made that comment about her and Justin
Yeah.
not coming, that might be why.
so that'd be something for the
She
minute.
always gives us something written out though, in the agenda on the first meeting of the month, where we can kinda read what the
Oh, well, the
library-
minutes from the previous
minutes
board
and stuff.
meeting are in.
At least
are
we're
in-
getting that,
Oh,
when
yeah.
she
are
isn't
in the-
here,
It's consent.
we're not getting
yeah,
anything
the consent
like that.
agenda, yeah,
Yeah.
we get that from the library.
Yeah, the library's running, I think it's running great. I mean,
Mhm.
no complaints at all with
Well,
Laura.
how do you think City Hall's running?
Good.
Wonderful.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
So I think that allows us then to get 5, 6 months a day, even let's say 5, of data to see, are they doing enough to get a 4.5?
Right.
Or not, but I think at this time we budget for it.
I think that, I honestly think that would help out the, disgust from a lot of citizens in this town too. Because you guys have all heard it too.
Yeah, I mean-
I'm not the only one that's heard people complain about it.
Yeah.
I mean, they call it,
It would be, it's
been
very
nicknamed-
helpful if
it's
we
been
had it
nicknamed
in
the hideout.
paper.
We
So
could
just
say
so
they
everybody
did-
knows that
they
it's a
did this
$350,000
project, I mean, I 100%, and that's the thing, if you live over in my neighborhood, like when that Oak Street project was going on, and I know he was over there all the time, I never saw him, but guess what, I know he was getting stuff done over there, so. But yeah, having 2 employees now, I think we definitely have to.
Well, everybody that sits at this table that's worked in the workforce has had to report to somebody. Had to let your bosses know what's going on or what you needed to get done that day or that week. I don't think it should be any different. I mean,
It's not any
it
different.
should not, I mean, you run guys, you wanna know what they're doing every day.
I know. It scares me when I do.
Okay, so any under, I mean, two punch clocks or one punch clock for here, they can come here and report in and talk to me at least if I know they're here or not. It'd be kinda
I
nice.
would
To be honest,
I would
That would be
think
kinda
you do.
nice.
What time do you open?
Well, 8 or 9.
The only problem with that is they're the city hall hours, and then they're gonna have to come here for snow emergencies and all that to punch in
Okay.
to,
I'd say
Understand.
two.
Yeah.
you know,
Okay.
Plus, even like if they gotta change, if they gotta punch out for something and punch into something else, if we are actually tracking like what they're doing that day, that'd be another trip, 2 guys in the truck up here, which we'll hear about too. Driving up here, you know, you might as well have 2,
yeah. But if we got one down there,
I get it.
one up here,
perfect.
Makes
fine.
sense.
and then we actually get a weekly progress report of what's going on,
yeah,
you can see where the time was spent and
So we might talk about a more in-depth punch system, Kurt, when we look at getting new software, because that's something we're gonna talk about at a different budget workshop. So for now, maybe we just get a couple $100 punch clocks, the old time card, punch them in, punch them out, right? Adam, what are you thinking?
there's, I mean, we got internet down there, right?
Yeah? This,
I'm pretty sure there's wireless fingerprint punch clocks.
$32 at Walmart.
That's what I mean, yeah.
Okay.
Like, just do a wireless and it'll probably be uploaded right to, you know, an email or however, if we gotta create another email account for the city for all time cards to go to, so be it, something like that. Until we get a more advanced system with a software
That'll track
update that will track it for us.
Yeah, and there's all kinds of systems out there now that have like process routing on them is what they call, where you like, say I'm just saying,
sure,
one of the processes is mowing,
Yeah.
there's a
you know
code
what-
for that.
so,
to
okay,
punch
There's a
it.
code.
Yeah.
That's what the big dilemma is. It's not that they're not here from 7 to 3:30. That's
it's
not
what,
it.
it's what are they
I think
doing?
that's a bigger
That's
question
the
than
bigger
realize.
question.
Really? Well, I'm getting of what they're doing.
Yeah, that's what I've been asked too.
Yeah.
They go around, you know, certain individuals will go drive around seeing where they're at or what they're doing, and they can't find them. And then they're asked, when I get asked, it's like, well, what were they doing
Right.
so-and-so day, or I
It
hadn't
happens
seen
all
their
the time
truck
to
out,
me.
or didn't see this, or
I
whatever.
get people stopping me all the time, wanting to know where they're at, what they're doing. That's why they call it the hideout out there now. That's what they're calling our $350,000 building is the hideout.
Yeah.
Okay,
So I agree we go with the 4.5. I mean,
okay,
to set it at that, but
for budgeting
for
purposes and
budgeting purposes.
levying purposes and, okay. All right, thank you. All right, let's move on. Oh, I just wanted to talk about, so obviously the debt service levy went up because until we know if local option sales tax is gonna pass, right?
Mhm.
We just have to still levy for the Division Street project and the city shop loan. And we've added the water geo for the improvements on, with this project. That 447,000, so that's all being levied, so that's new debt that's being levied. Okay?
Yep.
Let's see what else I have levied. Just an FYI, I know Cody, you ask me every meeting, what do we got in that fund? What do we got in that fund? So right now, as of today, there is $220,453.19. Now, subtract out $30,000 that we have to pay HR Green for the lining project, and $159,122.74 for municipal pipe. That leaves $31,000. I had a conversation with Tim this morning, I was like, I know, the council's like all anxious to add more and more, but we need to slow the roll a little bit. Hopefully there's enough, and like Tim and I said, yep, just like it was talked about, everything's been televised, but you never know if something's gonna happen
There could
during
be a
that
small
project.
change order
Yeah.
here or there.
And we have to pay that money out by when?
May,
May,
End of
In
May,
May.
right?
end of May.
yeah, May.
So like this project should be completed by March something.
Okay.
These guys can do this in the winter, everything else. Once we get them to go ahead and they get bonds in and stuff like that, they should be.
So maybe toward the end, when they're getting done, if there's something in 4 that can be added that would eat this up, because we know we haven't run into any issues. I mean, again, that's up to the council. It's just a thought, as I'm talking to Tim this morning, other than, let's get,
No,
A
I do
parking
not
lot.
wanna spend it
Okay.
right now at the beginning of this project. I mean,
let's look at it
We're
April-ish.
looking at it towards the end.
yes,
Yeah.
knock on
Yeah.
wood, with Dave Schmidt's project, we had very, very minimal
Yeah,
change orders on that, and that is a rarity with a
Yeah.
scope of a project that big.
That was very kind of efficient, if you will,
Yes.
the way that project's been going. And to me, it's like kudos to the contractor and how he's been working.
One big one?
There wasn't even really big ones, Cody. It was, you're talking anything under $5,000 for not being a change order is barely worth talking about.
Yeah,
It really just covers
On-
contractor costs.
on a $2.5 million project, a lot of times.
3.5, yeah,
a lot of
2.5 we
times,
paid
Just
out.
Dave Schmidt,
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of times you're talking hundreds of thousands, like
Now-
$100,000 to $200,000 change.
Of this
orders.
remaining 31,000 that's in
Mhm.
there, does it, all have to be paid for, I know that, but I mean, does it have to be just for infrastructure?
Again, I think that the note was written for paving, water, sewer, sidewalk. I'd have to look at it, I'd have to pull it again.
It'd be really nice to find out if we could, use that 31,000 on the Swisher ballpark.
No,
No,
We can't,
no.
nope,
that's not,
it was not written into the bond, no, and
Could be
it,
used for lining more pipes, could be used for doing something with the parking lot up there.
and that was kind of a stretch, the bonding attorney's
Yeah.
like, well,
I mean, it could be used for road improvement
yeah,
project.
which we always have, we're always wanting to put more money on that.
The
But it
problem
could be
is-
used to do the parking lot up in the park.
if we repurposed the bond, and we didn't repurpose the bond, because we were going to use it for this lining,
For the
sewer,
lining.
the televising and sewer.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It could be used to pave this, could it not?
again,
I mean,
and we're
it's
talking.
public parking.
Pave
So,
what?
so is Crandall, but I guess that's a private lot being used for public purpose.
Right, this is
I don't
city
know,
owned.
it'd be another phone call to the bonding attorney, which is not gonna be an easy sell. I just think it's not worth going that
Which-
route.
The one thing Melissa did say about the one blockage we have is with South Slope, and they're balking on their responsibilities. We may have to use some of that to fix that.
They're balking.
Yeah.
Oh,
You
on the,
just
where they
found
hit
that
that
And
line,
they're saying that may not be their line that they
Oh,
blocked.
well, that
Or that
was
they may
something
not
they
have
were
done
still,
Right.
still talking about.
From what I've heard on that, it's a pretty good possibility it is a South Slope line. And it's a very good possibility that was there for 16 years ago. That's when that was done.
Yeah.
It's been blocked that long.
oh,
Oh, no kidding.
That, what I've gathered from piecing my intel together was it is nothing new.
okay, can we move on to capital project discussions? I don't think I need it, I think I have it in the packet, so there should probably an extra one, because Carol's is rolling down. So this is just a list based on, okay, number one, new roof at City Hall. There was some shingles that have been missing, I don't know how long ago Justin told me to put into the budget file, I didn't date my note. To budget for a new roof on City Hall. The new emergency warning siren, when this project over here by the park was getting moved, I think at that time Mayor Persons was in contact with EMA, and so she had gotten a quote. They were replacing a siren somewhere in the county, and she'd gotten a quote for replacing. They said, this is her email to me back in May. So I talked to EMA guys last night at our meeting about the Swisher siren. They said it is an old unit. and doesn't have the coverage it needs. They said it's really due to be replaced. They sent me the attached bid, please put it on, she said June meeting, but no, we didn't have it budgeted, it needed to be budgeted. So that's where that number came from. Of course, you know about the Krandick parking lot, either the whole thing, phase 1 or phase 2. Tim and I talked about, and I think you always have been budgeting in this 50,000 for seal coating streets.
Yeah.
He said at least that amount would be great. Justin, when we went through budget, his worksheets, he asked for, the consideration of concrete in front of the public workshop doors and the salt shed. And then,
We don't have a cost.
yeah, no, the ones with question marks, obviously Justin will need to work on getting estimates, and I haven't seen them yet. Number 8 was the Castic Park parking lot. I can tell you from the Park and Rec Board, their recommendation was just to have Public Works do some shaping and maybe expansion of the parking lot.
Help anything.
And so that, that was not their priority to send up to the council.
That's to just chip and seal it?
It's in your, the estimate is in your stuff there, Cody.
Doesn't it seem high, Adam? The chip
For
and seal?
chip
I
and
think
seal,
it's
yeah.
the last one. Stone base, granular surfacing, double seal coat, striping, seating.
Oh,
No, you can't find it?
it's the very last page.
Yeah, okay.
No unit prices, 313 a cubic yard, a little high, not bad. Macadam, that's atrocious.
And I don't know, what's the date on that? I pull mine back out.
October 1.
Okay, so that, and again, that came from HR Green, did that estimate.
I mean, these are budgets,
Yeah.
so obviously the numbers are higher for that reason.
But would he have based it on what we were getting when Kleesner came in and did seal coating?
Yeah, but you're talking a lot more than what, you're
Okay.
not seal coating this. This is an excavation project followed by chip seal
Yeah.
and seeding.
Isn't that what Kleesner did, chip seal?
Yeah, but
Okay.
they didn't do any excavation and.
Right.
And that's what I'm looking at, is their base, which, if the double seal coat is the most expensive, which that is probably correct. Yeah, the striping seems dirt cheap. Seating,
So maybe
way cheap.
slightly lower. Or maybe roughly right there.
Probably right there, to be honest.
What's the contingency?
Running into problems that you don't know. It's a percentage they throw on everything. That way when it comes in lower and then you have it budgeted once again if there's change orders or something.
Real quick, what's RUT?
Road use tax.
No use tax.
And then the level and surface of Castic Park tennis courts, again, here's what, when the Park and Rec Board met in December, they gave priority to construct a new pavilion in the Castic Park, level and resurface the tennis courts, and what was the third? Was there anything?
Tennis courts.
They use them for pickleball.
Pickleball.
Yeah, those are their
Not a
priorities.
lot, but I see them up there sometimes doing that.
So that's why number 10 was, and Justin's supposed to be getting a quote. There's only very limited number of companies that do tennis court work, and it's not cheap at all.
That's why.
So Justin's he's been working for whatever, to get estimates. I gave him a couple of companies.
That's what I think, if we wanna get into, keep going more and more projects up there, that Parks and Rec Board's gonna have to find a way to generate money. I mean, it's not hard to get sponsorships. I've been in enough organization, put on enough events, and it's not hard to get sponsorships, and I brought it up to them 2 years ago to start getting sponsorships that go on that outfield fence that sit up year round that they take down in the fall. Businesses would throw a lot of money and a lot of projects would get done if Parks and Rec would take the lead, so
They haven't done anything.
they haven't. That's 2 years ago.
Especially with the Swisher youth
Yeah,
stuff that goes on up
Yeah.
there.
And you're even getting,
Are they competing with
Kids
those
from-
guys, with Swisher Youth though?
well,
Is
see,
Swisher
that's
Youth
where I don't
gonna
know.
start that stuff?
That's where, like, I also think does Swisher Youth try and get some money to upgrade the park facilities since they are using them, like, they'd want better facilities, like, they can't just turn to Parks and Rec and just say, hey, fix this for us, like, there has to be buy-in on both sides, it can't just be council give us money to fix all this. Because we have to worry about citywide stuff too. Yes, we all have the nostalgic park that we do want to look nicer, but there has to be some give and take.
So I'm ignorant on this part. When they have football and or baseball stuff going on down there, do we get a percentage of their dues?
Swisher Youth Sports is a private,
It used to all come to the
Yes.
city until just this year. And then they broke off, became their own 501c3, and the city released all funds that were coming into the city to that group. And they're taking care of their own registrations.
That's all fine, but then they should be kicking back usage funds.
Well, and again, it just happened.
yeah.
'Cause I know when my kids played, 20% of it all went to wherever we were playing.
I can tell you that after the Park and Rec Board made some other comments, and Mike was Mayor Pro Tem at the time, Mike and I sat down with Public Works, because there was some other things that, like, are budgeted in this fiscal year that were, clock's ticking.
Yeah.
If it doesn't get done by June, it's not gonna get done.
That we were not getting estimates for.
That could have been done last fall.
Like the dirt around the pavilion and the dirt around that should have, yeah.
Yeah, there was certain
Did they ever
things
do
that
anything
were on the
with those?
list. that
I'm
we
sorry,
were
Kurt?
getting-
did they ever do anything with the fence that we all complained about? Somebody's gonna break their ankle up there?
Who's they? Who are you asking?
The city of Swisher.
I don't believe so.
I didn't think so either. I just wanted to make sure last time I was up there, I hadn't been anything to do it, but.
So anyway, this
Parks and
was
Rec never came up
discussed
with a solution.
with Public Works, and a copy went to Public Works, so they knew what needed to be done now and before the end of the fiscal year, and what estimates they needed to do.
This was back like.
What is in this fiscal year that they still to do?
This fiscal year, so the concession stand, Park and Rec Board asked Public Works to fix the siding and paint, refresh the spring, that cement side of the concession stand.
The cinder block.
In this fiscal year, there's $3,000 budgeted to fix or replace a cracked slide.
Which I don't think that's gonna touch a crack
I-
slide.
Don't know.
That bump
Yeah,
there was like
well, that's just it.
$1,500.
Where did that come from? Where did $3,000
Yeah.
come from?
Yeah, someone,
And then $1,000 to fix tripping hazards around pavilions, benches, playgrounds, etc., to make them flush to the
so that's
cement.
the dirt.
Or the rock, around the pavilion, I would be, yeah.
So that, I mean, those are all spring projects, those aren't gonna be done now.
Yeah. So, just, there's been some communication and documentation on some things.
Alright.
And moving on then to 11. So Chad had given me a few items to put into the budget. He asked, need to budget between 5 and 10 for stuff related to the UV. And then due for a bunch of bulbs and ballast, that will be several $1,000s. So I budgeted in $15,000 for all of those. And then again, Tim and I had a conversation today, and he asked for, I know in this fiscal year, there was $15,000 for televising, not talking about the special capital project money. $15,000 budgeted for televising, and $15,000 budgeted in for repairs. So he was asking for, based on, what the hell did he tell me?
Would be
What the
we
three,
discovered.
the 4 sections that were televised, dividing that total by 4, came up to like 6,500, so he said, let's go 10,000 on televising. And then based on repairs that we're seeing, although he said when we start going into those newer areas, there should be less.
Right,
Not on
the
somebody's
cost
head.
should really drop.
So he's thinking about 6,500 to televise a section.
That's why he says 10,000.
That's why he said
So
10,000.
shouldn't we put roughly 13?
No, we'll do one section a year.
Oh, one section.
One
I was
section a
thinking
year.
we're doing 2
No,
sections.
No.
one section a year was the plan.
Right, I think the way we were starting out, because we had this money
Yeah,
from the other project, we could
So-
start by hitting as many sections
What's this
first
current
as we could.
project costing us?
160, 159,
For 3
160,
sections?
plus the engineering of 30.
Yeah, so,
30.
so in this 10,000 for the televised sewer lines and the 50,000 to repair sewer lines putting in the budget, is that including what we're gonna have to pay out for engineering?
Yes, that would.
Yeah,
For sure?
Oh,
I said that?
I hope so, I hope to God.
Yeah,
If we're paying only 30 on, right?
yeah,
30 on 3,
on 3 sections. This is just for one section, which technically, we budget this in. We will be a year ahead of ourselves in
Yeah.
televising, which would be great.
Yeah,
So this money would be to repair section 4, which is already televised. We would televise section 5.
yeah,
And we would know a year out going in to have estimates for what section 5 is going to take anyway.
Was there 7 sections altogether?
10.
10?
and
yeah, it's got broken into 10. So looking at this list, tell me what you want me to cut off and tell me what you want me to put in,
Tennis courts cut off for this year.
okay?
I think there's enough projects up at the park, between the pavilion, between that ball diamond.
So don't even bother getting an estimate?
For this year, I think.
No, I mean, just for any
Get
future.
it,
I
get
get an
an
estimate.
estimate, but
Okay,
we could get it in, yeah.
okay.
I mean, I've talked to people that
Crossing
said
9,
they could go in and just fill cracks, like maybe get somebody to come in and even fill cracks.
I think they just did that a couple years ago,
Did
Justin
they?
said,
And if, maybe that could be
or
a,
no, did they do it themselves?
I think they did it themselves. I think it could be a 1-year fix or something, but to resurface the tennis courts, I'm gonna be a hard no on that thing when that ball diamond hasn't been touched in
Exactly. And that,
my lifetime.
yeah, that ball diamond's gets used a lot more, I mean, could be, I mean, I guess it's not.
It is.
It is, but I mean, it could even be
We
a
have
whole lot
youth
more.
sports, baseball, they play soccer there,
Right,
they
right,
play
that's what I'm saying,
football.
but I mean, if we made it better, it could even be used even more.
Yes.
I mean, there's all kinds of teams around that wanna practice up there, that could want to and everything. I'm not a big one for, I know you guys are all gonna disagree with me, but this Crandall parking lot thing, I think is too early to budget anything in for yet. I'm not, and I'm of the opinion that, this Crandall parking lot deal is, in my opinion, benefits like 2% of this town. We represent 100% of this town, 390 households, 900 something people. This benefits like 3 people. And if it's that big of a deal, that we're gonna spend $90,000 and then have an annual thing on it, the people that are benefiting on this, where are they to kick in? They're gonna say, well, we don't have community support. We don't have community support. You know what? I'm not going around asking people to come pay my property tax. I mean, that's my opinion, and I can have my opinion, you guys don't have to agree with me, but I'm not for spending $90,000 to appease 3 businesses or 3 people in this town. All they want to talk about is we don't do anything for them, we don't do anything for them. They bought all these businesses, they started all these businesses with the town the exact same way it is right now. That's my opinion, so I'm a hard no on that, but I know that'll get proved anyway, but.
I think the Crandall parking lot as a full in this fiscal year is a no. I think the only option that could become a possibility is phase 1. But part of me sits and questions, we had that meeting with those business owners. I don't even remember when that was.
Few months
Oh,
back.
yeah, that's
3 months.
definitely,
2 or 3 months ago?
maybe
3 months
early
ago.
November,
Yeah.
late
And we have
October.
yet to hear word from those business owners on
Yeah,
the
Well,
question.
I'm sure they're all listening and they'll be at the next meeting, so.
Good.
I mean,
I
I
have
hope
no
they
one
are.
on.
I think we haven't gotten enough information back.
But that's the thing, we asked them to go and get answers
Right.
and we haven't heard still, and it's budget season, so now's the time, if they want
And they know full
possibility.
well that, I mean, some of these business owners too know that we do this budget thing in January. And we even told them back then.
Yeah.
That that's something that we had to know more information on, you know, in order for us to put into the budget what this city did.
This type of money and this type of expense, a yearly expense for this, I really think you guys need to think, if this was taken to a vote, like the city water was, if this was taken to a vote, do you think you'd get 50% of the people to agree to put $90,000 in that?
To be honest,
I also wanna see how we come up with this. I think the yearly cost is beyond ridiculously high for maintenance.
What was it? I didn't even, I,
17,290.
I mean, if you look at like how they break that down though, the single seal coat, I agree. But pavement markings, doing that twice a year. Main Street didn't get pavement markings for 20 years. Do
Right.
not tell me we have to do pavement markings on a parking lot twice a year.
but
I bet it
remember,
would last 5 years.
right, but remember one other thing too, like, say that does get chip sealed or whatever we do to
Yeah.
it. That is another couple hours every time it snows for them to plow that too. And we're always hearing about
No, I know.
the roads, you know, and they're so busy and we can't get this done, and can't get this done, and we get a big snowfall and everybody's complaining about the trucks not being out there. That's adding another 2 hours to that. Then we're gonna have this new housing development, which I know it's gonna bring in tax money. I'm not stupid, I don't need to be told that we're gonna bring in tax money for it. But that is actually more roads to plow.
And I'd really like to know, I could talk to some seasoned public works employees, give the length of miles to find out, how much do you think that would add on? 15, 20 minutes? I mean, what are you talking?
It takes longer than that.
So what?
To plow the streets that are being added?
Oh, that?
At this point in time.
If there's an average snow.
At this point, right now, the way it sits?
There's not a whole lot there.
That's my
15
point.
minutes.
That's
No,
what
but
I
I'm
just
just saying,
said.
down the road,
But down the road, it would
right.
be much
Right.
bigger.
Well, I get that.
So
I
that's,
get that.
that could even be another city employee.
Yes. And down the road, you know, the more development that goes on, that's possible.
And you know, every time it's like freezes and stuff, and storm sewers, it's just like up in, Adam's edition or Cody's edition,
Yeah.
them storm sewers can't be plugged. I mean, we've dealt with road problems because of those being plugged.
Anything else you want? So am I Xing all the Crandicks?
No, keep phase one for now. I'm not saying
So
we have
put
to
it
put.
in? Is that what you're telling me?
No, I'm
That's
not
what I'm
saying,
asking.
I'm not saying to put it in. I'm not, I don't know.
Well, I need to know.
I think phase two and the whole parking lot project is access to me.
You want me to try to budget it in and we'll look at it and discuss it if
Sure.
we're,
Try it.
okay.
If it doesn't work, then we pull it right
Okay.
out.
Anything else?
Like, to me, that's at the bottom of my priority.
Okay,
New roof on City Hall, I haven't looked at
I
this
don't know.
roof.
That's what I
looked at
was,
this
I don't know.
I don't know if that's,
I'm
like,
just taking it from Public Works.
to me, like, we have a lot of projects, is that something that we could wait and budget for next year?
Yeah, I'm sure we could. I don't see any leaks, I don't see any.
Well, there's a little one over here and that's where you see the tiles. I mean, it's
That's where
little.
the buckets sit.
Yeah.
We'll just pull that tile up and put a bucket there
And they
for you.
did go up and replace that, but then I think it fell off again. And when they were up there, Justin's like, you need to throw something in your file about a new use.
So I guess for me, and you guys can step in, the new
I
roof,
don't care.
I would really like to
Just-
wait until
Okay.
2026.
Well, this is 2026.
Well, or
When we do the budget.
next year's budget,
Okay.
yeah.
Your budget is for
Emergency warning
2026.
sign, ours still works, right?
I had gotten some complaints and I think that's what generated
Yeah, that thing
this.
is 50 years old almost.
I understand, but can we make it, I mean, we're trying to do a lot of projects to make the town happy.
That's something you might be able to budget in, Cody, and you might be able to get
I
grants
was
on.
gonna say, is there a
We should
grant?
We could
If we
probably
get grant
find
money,
grant money.
That's
If
what I
we
was
can get
thinking.
grant money for that.
If you
I'm not
budget it
saying
in
all
and
of
they
it.
get grant money and you
And
don't
if you don't
make, it
get
only
grant
takes
money, you
8
don't do it.
grand.
Yeah, True.
Just see
So
if we
keep that
can
in.
leave that in.
Strike out 3,
I did,
strike out 5,
I did.
seal coat
Obviously,
streets
seal coat
6.
streets.
Keep seal coat.
7, I would strike out.
Huh?
I think strike
7?
out 7 for, we review that at 2026.
Okay,
I think we could get by for a year.
okay.
Parking lot costing.
8 is a big yes for me. I don't know how you guys feel, but restructuring that parking lot, we've tried it, it fails. Until that thing actually has painted lines and people know where to park, that's gonna continue to be a nightmare.
With the biggest, I mean, that is with the youth sports.
Yes.
And a big thing for a city is to, in my opinion, is to look out, I mean, guys like, that are our age and everything that, I mean, what do we look out for? We wanna look out for our elderly and we wanna look out for our kids growing up, you know, in this town. So anything you can put into that park, to me, is a plus. I mean, any money, I mean, cause that's what, I mean, we all grew up here, at least I did, Cody did. I mean, that park was I mean, we've spent time at that frickin' park. I mean, it's not the ideal location for a city park, but it is what it is, you know? You go over to Ely and you see how freaking awesome they made their park over there. It's for the kids and it's used all the time. And then something that's not on here, and I'm just bringing this up just out of, like, the elderly citizens in this town. I mean, what do we ever do for them? Has anybody ever thought of, like, even like putting in a budget, like maybe once or twice a month having a freaking free lunch at the Legion for them or stuff? Like the old, like elderly citizens, you know, like
I think they do that there at the Legion.
the Willows do it for a couple times at Thanksgiving and I think even Christmas, yeah. But I mean, just something like that. I mean, you know, these people that live in this town that are getting older, like me, my parents, Mike, everybody that's in this room is, we spent a lot of freaking, we put a lot of tax dollars into this town. Lots, you know, I mean, what are they getting out of it now? I mean, all of these.
Do other cities budget for, or is that?
No, I don't even know, I'm just bringing that up.
Yeah,
I'm just saying, I'm not saying it's gotta be budgeted.
No, I think that's conversations we had with even local businesses, Kava, the bar, Legion, to say like, hey, council thinks you guys should try and do something. I don't know.
The
That's all.
library has adult programs,
Yeah.
but that's it.
On 8, 9, and 10, I'm not against any of them, but I would like to see the youth group, since they've split off, we need to figure out how to generate some money from them to help cover some of these costs.
Do they not pay or did we waive that for them, usage fees?
No, they don't pay any, no.
Yes.
Should they? They didn't last year.
I don't know if I
I
think
don't
they
know
should.
about that.
I mean, to me, like, that's my number one priority in this town, is those young kids to grow up with a better experience. I mean, I had amazing experiences as a childhood in this town around the streets, but that's what I'm all about, is those kids, like, the usage fees, like, to me, that's so insignificant. That programming just started, what, 3 years ago, 4 years ago? Like, I don't even wanna mess with that. Like, to generate a couple $1,000s, like, I just don't see the need to. I mean, I think it falls more on their board and also on Parks and Rec to figure out ways to generate money to get more improvements out there.
Well, that's just it.
I'd like to see that too, but I also think that we should keep in mind that we can put budget, into the budget, something to help facilitate some of these changes up there.
No, I agree with that. I mean, and that's where, I mean, we're super limited on what we can actually budget in,
Right.
but, and that's where we're gonna have to go to Parks and
it-
Rec and say, you guys have to generate some money if you want more of these done.
Right, but
These
I
are the
mean,
ones
we're
that we'll
looking at
prioritize.
2 or 3, maybe 4 items or something that we could put in the budget or not. You know,
2.
and if we're picking and choosing stuff, you know, like this parking lot, the pavilion,
That's it.
that's it. I mean, to me, that's a start
Yeah.
for this fiscal year.
You know, being a citizen of this town, and like, I would think like that, like I'm just using 80% of this town, if they knew that some of their tax money and some of our city money was going to the youth and going to that park, that would make them happy.
Right,
I mean,
but it's
You're not gonna
just,
get a whole bunch of people that's gonna complain about,
right, but what we're looking at is, you know, if you're upgrading the parking lot up there and you're also upgrading the pavilion or what have you, or the
Concession stand or.
concession stands or whatever, that's not just for the youth, that's for everybody to be able to use the park and to use the
Correct.
facilities.
Mhm.
So,
That's why we put a walking trail in up there.
it's a win-win.
and it's nice, like when people rent out the park, you know, that pavilion looks nice, or that the concession stand looks not, you know, is there, and so it's for everybody, it's not just the youth, but that's our main focus.
I think the tennis courts this year we should strike.
I got that
I
one.
would like
Take that
it,
out.
it's still an estimate,
Yep, I got, still
But-
get quote.
yeah.
And I think that's where we go back to parks, say, if you guys want this done, start generating some money.
Yeah,
So leave the new large pavilion at Castic on.
Yeah, and the parking lot.
That shows
Yeah,
this town
yeah.
that we have it. I'm telling you, we have to budget in a big change up there because we have dealt with citizens coming in here saying you guys are doing nothing to support it. We have to have a big change
Well,
this
you
year.
had your joint meeting with them,
Yeah.
and that was one thing that you all talked about.
Yeah,
So, okay,
Uh,
and then the UV bulbs, obviously, we'll budget
Yes.
that in, and the
Yeah.
televising and repairs.
Yeah.
Anything else? Cause to me, these aren't really capital projects to me. $2 million, $3 million projects are capital projects, but it's all I can come up
We've
with in this
spent
year.
yeah.
enough money on bonds and capital
Yeah.
projects that we could, I mean, we're still gonna be finishing
Yeah,
in
well,
2026,
this- Yeah,
this other one, so if we
in
wait,
fiscal year 2020,
it should be done, Dave Schmidt's.
like this spring,
This
before
spring,
June
Before
30th.
June, as long as we don't have a wet, stupid
I was
Yeah,
gonna say weather committee.
but they're past the creek, so that's,
Right, they're ahead of schedule, actually,
oh,
so,
I,
yeah.
lot.
So any other small projects, big projects?
Well, I would love to see Swisher View Drive widened and actual culverts put in the way they should across there, removing those two stupid ones, but you're talking multi-millions and we need to spend money other places.
I wasn't on the,
Well, it's like the
council when
bridges
this was,
Right.
but I can't understand, and Tim would probably be more to answer that, but they widened that bridge out on one side of it coming, basically all it does is come out of where Shorty's is at. Yard there, and then it widens out there. They put a narrow bridge sign there. That's not a narrow bridge, it's still the same size bridge. But when you got up on Swisher View Drive, you've got a bridge that is a hell of a lot more, seems like dangerous than that one there.
We put the
Narrower.
signage because the road narrows.
But the
Right.
road doesn't actually narrow. The only
Well, when
It
way,
narrows from its size that they brought it out to is what it's.
Right, and when
Stays
that
widened.
street's done all the way to Swisher View Drive, that's gonna be the wider street too, going into that area. One thing to keep in mind too, guys, it's not gonna be on this budget and probably not the next one, but down the line, we're looking at that bridge.
Oh, 100%.
It's gonna be a major
Yeah, we already
project
told
too.
So that's our
is
next
there any,
major capital project.
is there anything we should budget for preliminary planning?
I don't think so in this fiscal
Okay.
year, but next fiscal year, definitely.
because
Okay.
Tim even said at our last meeting that we were a ways off from even getting any grants or anything
Yeah, well,
that were, so I mean,
You
if
should
we're not,
have
if
the
we're not gonna
planning
wait.
done before you're gonna go out for grants.
Correct.
Right, if we're not gonna wait for any grants, it's gonna be a huge expense.
I get it.
Well, Tim's not here, he said
And
something
he can
about-
come, he asked
Well,
if we
he-
needed them, but not for this stuff.
I talked to him yesterday, and he said he might show up, but obviously he's not here, so.
Well, yeah,
But he could speak to that going forward as far as, you know, what may be out there.
but again,
in the
let's not
future.
do it in the middle of a meeting. If you want him here to talk about a project, let's bring him to the next budget workshop.
I don't think we budget anything in for bridge right this year,
Okay.
because
What about,
there's no way.
No, but
do
I'm
we have
just
any
saying-
major tree projects? Would that go into capital projects?
So you've been budgeting $5,000
And we've always
for
gone
road
over
right
it,
away,
like,
and you've always gone over. The Park and Rec Board also would like $5,000 budgeted in for any additional trees in the parks.
One member would.
Yeah.
For
So
You
anyway,
mean removal of trees?
yeah,
I know we should budget 5,000 in again for somewhere in town,
Yeah,
Oh,
cause
yeah.
something's
at
gonna
least
come.
$5,000.
yeah, it'll go in.
More respectable would probably be
10.
Yeah.
to be realistic,
Because of the cost.
but
Well, when you're taking 12 trees out at a time, yeah.
that was cheaper than I.
I mean, I think we have to budget trees at 10.
Yeah.
I mean, every year since I've been on council, 6
We've
years or
gone
whatever, like doubled every year. Just because like situations arise like it did and
Well, you know, everybody sitting in this room knows how much price is going up too. So something 5 years ago that was 5,000
Yeah.
could definitely be 10 or 12 now.
Double, yeah.
I'm getting all the vendor increases.
Yep, so am I.
Been coming
I'm
for a
getting,
month.
yeah, I'm getting steel increases every freaking day. You know,
So we wanna put in 10?
I would.
yeah, if we don't use it.
If we don't use it, great.
Yeah, we're lucky.
I have a really bad feeling though, we probably will.
Okay.
It'll come spring and stuff's gonna bud and we're gonna find trees that are gonna be a problem.
Well, at some point too, you guys, you know, we're gonna have to check out them trees on the downhill slide of that, going up to the railroad tracks to get to the sewer plant. At some point, we're gonna have to figure out what's going on there, cause if they get any worse, they're gonna drop on something. I don't know how bad they are, I'm not a tree expert or nothing, I'm just saying every year we're hearing complaints about them growing over the roads and not getting trimmed up. Well, at some point, maybe it's time to just take a couple of them out, you know, that keep hanging over the road.
Talking OCAP.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
And you know
right by
what?
Chris Mars.
It would be a very easy thing if we don't have a bunch of dead trees is to get numbers for somebody to trim them all the way back to
Right,
the, back to
exactly.
the back of the ditches
Right,
and go vertical with the canopies.
right.
Is it possible for us for notes for fiscal year 27 to like have like new roof, these things, just so when we get to a budget from a year from now, we're not forgetting these things?
Yeah, I mean, this is in list and, you know, saved under my budgets for fiscal year 26, so we'll look at it again. Yep, you know, God willing, I'm still here
27.
next year.
27, I'd like to see on that one, I know that's talking long off,
Yeah.
is redoing the ball diamond itself.
Okay,
I mean, if we get the fence fixed, which is probably gonna be a lot of volunteer labor on that. But if we could redo the pavilion and possibly parking lot this year, next year we come in with a new, I mean, then we're looking at actually now the park equipment and what needs replaced.
does the council ever wanna go through like a capital CIP process or goal setting?
We could.
So that's just it, you're prioritizing some of those, you
Which,
know, long-term projects.
which usually in a work session, you know, that we have through the year, we might schedule work sessions.
Yeah,
And
we
we
haven't
could,
done those.
and we could sit down and kind of brainstorm on different things.
You guys have never sat in a work session.
And that could be up here
I sat in one, we sat in one last year,
No,
too.
didn't we?
No, I
Mayor
don't think
Taylor.
we had one.
We have not
last
had one since Mayor Taylor.
Oh, no, then I have not.
year. Yeah, but it
I mean,
it
you
would
sat
be,
thed through budget workshops, but not like not a goal
I mean, we-
session or
We
CIP
should
planning.
probably do at least one.
we had, for a few years, we were doing like 1 or 2 a year. You know, one like early in,
We had 4 a
March
year
or
when I first started,
did we have 4?
every quarter,
Okay. But
hour every quarter.
But I think that's kind of slipped, and I'm trying to remember when the last one was. It might have been a year before
So
you and
before my
Darrell
time.
even
That
got
one
on
I was
council.
here.
Yeah.
It was earlier in the year.
But I do
There's-
remember, like, 2 years ago, I remember seeing like on Facebook or on the website that you guys were having a work session or whatever,
Okay.
but I've never sat in one. But I totally agree with Cody on this ball diamond thing. I mean, it's pretty bad when our youth sports groups, they go up there, they're telling all the kids, don't frickin' slide. Don't slide on this stuff when you're playing ball. You know, I mean, we're all old adults if we're dumb enough to slide on it when we play ball up there. But I mean, you're telling all these little girls and little boys, don't slide because you're gonna come up with, you know, strawberries from your ankle to your. That's a huge dollar project though, too, to do it
Or
right.
maybe sometime
Yeah,
in March,
15,
or
do it right.
schedule a work session and kind of do some brainstorming
So-
on some different areas in the
Try
city.
something first, and then we'll see how it works.
Oh, I know, I did wanna talk to you, I'm trying to go through my
I'm
pile
so down on it
here.
again.
I have an idea around soil condition.
So, with the short-term disability, I personally think it's outrageous what the city pays for what it is. I've tried to contact the rep at True North, so basically you're paying $99 a month for short-term disability for 4 employees. I think that's high. And so I'm gonna see if there's any other options. And also,
Yeah, that is high.
to add, maybe, I mean, I've never worked for a city that didn't pay some type of life insurance on full-time employees. I know when I was in Central City, they had 10,000 life plus a short-term disability. When I talked to True North at that time, we got 20,000 and short-term disability for less money than what they were paying for 10 in short-term disability, so.
What was their short term, 26 weeks?
Yeah. So anyway, I'm working on that to see, what I can find. I took a guess that True North was the rep, and I finally got a name today, because I couldn't find anything in
What's the
the
name?
Iris. She might be like the government, for government, clients. I don't remember her from Central City though. It was a Jamie there. Anyway, that's something that I'm looking at. Also, I was talking with Laura and I was talking with Justin, and I don't wanna speak out of term, cause this should come from Justin, not me. As I understand, Dylan, with his schooling, needs to do an internship. And so I think, from what I'm understanding, that's gonna start this summer, so we might be losing him. In recruiting, like, I know that we offer a nice package of the stipend for health insurance, but, you know, if you can offer health insurance as an option, would the council be okay if I research some of that? I think,
I would
You can
think you
research
could
it, yeah.
research it.
yeah,
I think Tanya kept doing that, like
She-
the final 2 years or 3 years, she kept trying to find something that was affordable for the city that made sense.
Mhm.
The only issue we had is we couldn't find anything.
Yeah, we didn't have enough employees to make it
Right.
feasible.
well, maybe Dylan wasn't full-time at that point,
Yeah, he might not.
because Tanya would have been, Laura is, Justin, and so there's 4.
But yeah, that would be fine if you wanna
Okay,
do some research on that and stuff.
I'll see what I can come up with. And I think that's all for right now that I have. Again, we talked about, software will need to be, this software that we have is really good software, and I really like it. Unfortunately, the company, G-Works, is no longer gonna support this software come December 31st of this year. So we can move to their cloud-based, it's called Core software, with no product fees in calendar year 26. And just paying the same support fees that we would pay, that we're paying right now for fiscal year, or for calendar year 25. I've researched and got some quotes on software, and we're talking anywhere from 27 to 30,000 to switch software. There's Civic Systems, there's Banyan, there's Tyler, which you can't afford anyway. But Civic Systems and Banyan, it's right around 27 to 30,000 for the modules that we need. So I am making a recommendation that the council stay with G-Works, move to the Core cloud-based software at, the support is $5,400 a year. And again, if we do that, they will waive any product fees. So I've got the attorney looking at that contract right now. If that, I mean, I hope you would take my recommendation and go with it versus another $30,000 bill for software in fiscal year '26.
Definitely.
Do you have anything big in here you need?
Yeah, I'd like a new laptop, but I was gonna talk about that when we get to expenses. Yeah,
I just
we need to
didn't
talk
know.
about IT services, and I'll have to go out for an RFP. I've been looking for an RFP to submit, but I can't find one. Nobody's sharing. Yeah, good luck with that, huh? Yeah, don't laugh. And I know diddly jack about it anyway, to even know what to put into it.
I stare at them every day.
At what?
RFPs, RFIs.
Oh, I know. I'm sure you do. You got one for IT services?
Nope, I don't even look at those.
Dang it.
Outside my realm.
Okay, that's all that I have for now. Again, we'll go over revenues next week and maybe get into expenses.
Motion to adjourn?
Second. Thanks, Shelley.
What time is it?
21 after.
6:22.
Thank you. I hope this was okay, just having this paper packets.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how Tanya did it, but I don't really
She
care
didn't
either.
paper packets.